Hello, folks, and welcome to Bards and Books. I'm Usman, and today we are back. I'm joined with my good buddy Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Pretty good, man.
Doing good. Awesome. Nice shirt. I like the Led Zeppelin shirt there. Looks good. All right. We are talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl once again, and we're on book 2, Carl's Doomsday Scenario. So, for me, let's just say this is still going strong. I'm enjoying it a whole lot. Once again, Jeff Hayes's narration is very good. I'm enjoying that. And did I like it more than book 1? It might have been about the same. Like both 5 stars for me. So yeah. There were some elements here that were added that I know I've heard a lot of people didn't enjoy, but for me it worked. It all worked. I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, it was strong for me. How about you? How does this compare to book 1?
Well, I did really enjoy it. I didn't really like it as much as book 1. I feel like this is probably like a little bit of a low in the series, kind of like maybe building up some more character development, not as exciting. There's a few, parts in the book where I was kind of like, all right, when are we going to get on to the next thing? Because this is not as interesting for me. If the first book was 5 stars, I'd probably say like this is 4.5. It's up there. Really enjoyable, and as you said, Jeff Hayes, fantastic. He's very good at what he does.
Mm-hmm. I can see the moments that you're talking about that were a bit of slower moments, or a little bit tedious. I can see that. And first of all, let's just get this out of here. You were absolutely right about Mordecai being the one to get pissed off with Donut's what is it? Class selection, right?
Yeah. So I kind of had a feeling there. Yeah.
The first, I think, 2 or 3 chapters were focusing on their race and class selection, if I'm correct. I believe so. But so we knew Donut would remain a cat. I mean, that's for the viewers, for the 100%. Audience, that was in her best interest. What's interesting is the former child actor class. So basically every level now she gets to customize, and gives her a bit of an advantage.
That's going to be interesting. I'm sure there's going to be some floors where she'll roll a 1 and like not get a very good class and not going to get very good stuff. And maybe sometimes she'll roll and it'll be something great, because I know they build the skills. Sometimes you get a decent amount of skills in whatever class you choose, or sometimes you get kind of screwed by it.
Yeah, could go either way.
I know she gets to choose, but sometimes you might get a very high level spells or low level spells. So
yeah,
that can be interesting.
So then for Carl's race, he chose a primal, which I think is so awesome. Like the whole bit of primal lore that we got there. I want to dive into that and learn all about it because it sounded so cool, right?
I agree. The primal lore, very interesting. I kind of feel like it would be cool if it changed him a little bit instead of him being exactly the same. Maybe make him a little taller, a little buffer, maybe.
Oh yeah, but they said that you just look the same, right?
You look the same, which is fine. I mean, whatever race of the person was originally, that's what they look like when they choose the primal race or whatever. And it doesn't seem like it has any downsides, really.
But I think we might get more information on the primals, or more things will come to light regarding them, I think, because that's like such an interesting piece of lore that we get there that has to go somewhere.
Yeah, Mordecai talks about it because he tells you, he asks about like, oh, why does nobody pick this, or how many people pick it? And it's just very rarely people get ahead, because he was wondering, like, why don't people choose this class? Like you get boosted so much, but it's a little bit like in the early stages, it's pretty rough on you.
Yeah, not so good in the early stages, but it has potential for stronger levels near the end, right?
That long game,
which
I think is going to work out for him pretty well, because he is, mainly using Goblin and Dynamite at this point, just yeet and run away.
Yeah, that brings us
major tactic.
Yeah. And his class, which is a compensated anarchist, which I think is pretty unique,
I think it's one, and it's kind of a hilarious thing too,
Yeah.
to compensate an anarchist, and
Yeah,
the
that information.
the little bits that they put on that,
and the description they give of, like, 1 second they'll blow up a place, and the other second they'll protest on
yeah,
how.
they'll be like praying for asking for the violence to stop,
Yeah.
you know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
very good. Yeah, so that opens up a lot of skills, and I mean, yeah, it's cool. Lots of interesting stuff. It like kind of excited to see what happens with the other people that they left on the last floor. The old people group.
Yeah. So they
That's
weren't in it that much in this one.
no, they're like almost zero. I mean, they get mentioned a couple of times. He
Yeah.
messages, it's a message from Brandon, and you find out that like he's staying a human, but the rest of the people have to choose some wild races to like keep like cognizant because they're so old, and
Yeah.
they'll wonder. One of the things that Carl was offered was like a mind worm or whatever. Maybe they'll have some like old people that are like mind worms, or who knows what, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, we did get some information about one, but that was near the
Yeah.
end, and we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
um, Lucia Marr
Mm.
is a little scary, a little
Mm-hmm.
pretty intimidating. I mean, we knew that from the
Nightmare
first
Child.
book. Yeah, we
Yeah.
knew that from the first book, but here with her race and class selection, it's like, wow,
Right.
this
And
is a
then,
girl with something else.
and not to mention like all the stuff that she just keeps plugging away. And this is where like before it was like she's off somewhere else. We don't really have to. Carl doesn't have to deal with her at all. But it's like she gets mentioned a lot, but just as like the top person, right?
Yeah. Well, I think she's
Now,
coming to the forefront now, like
yeah,
maybe in the next few books, and I think she'll be the main antagonist or one of the main antagonists. I could
surely,
see that.
yeah. No mention of oh god, the other two people that were hunting Carl before.
Yeah, Frank
So
and Maggie, they're not in this one.
no. I mean, a couple of like, I thought thinking about like Maggie and seeing looking for people with skulls on their beside their names, but no mention of them yet.
Yeah.
So kind of thought that would kind of come more to fruition in this book, but I think they're holding off on that one for a while, letting it stew. Maybe it'll come later.
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole concept of the quests here, what do you think of that? The quests, and then they end up, there's a new setting now. They're like, there's villages and stuff. It's more of a like a social and just a more, it seems like a more populated kind of setting.
Instead of being kind of like very dungeony and like pathways, now it seems more of like a open world on that level kind of thing. Like, walk here, go through the woods and go through the, ruined city and, that kind of stuff, which is kind of nice.
More complicated,
yeah, change of scenery a little bit. It's kind of like you can do some quests and you can like go to all the towns and talk to people and that kind of stuff. And I kind of wish they did more small quests. It seemed like they were just like big quest, not really anything. It would be nice if they did like a little bit of a silly one,
so like side quests.
Yeah, a little silly side quests. Or like, you have to go over here or something like that, and just have something stupid. Like, mop my floor.
Yeah. And what did you think of the whole quest? Because this is the aspect, like the whole quest thing, that I've heard some people did not enjoy about this book at all. But it worked for me. I enjoyed it. What do you think?
I mean, I think the second quest they did was was a lot better. But I felt the first one in the clown city, like the whole clown big top, whatever. I was like, all right, let's get it going. You feel like it's like, it's not really like what's going to happen. This is somebody's story and you're just kind of dropped into this and he's not the main character. And it's, it doesn't really vibe with me. And I felt like I was kind of waiting for this thing to get over with, which is,
I see that.
It's not great for a thing to kind of feel. and it was not my favorite bit.
The circus bit was not my favorite either. I get the reason for it, and the whole quest thing is so that it's not just all grinding and then facing bosses. You gotta add a little bit of spice to it.
Oh yeah, a little flavor.
Yeah. So I get that. Again, the circus bit was not my favorite, but I understand it, and I like the addition of like these elites now, these kind of characters that are written into the stories. And by the way, this whole concept of like the writers, like there are writers and producers for this dungeon now, for this whole stuff, like this whole idea of like, what is it, capitalization or viewership, just the fact that there's tons of writers and producers trying to get their work in and trying to get viewership and whatnot and stuff. It made it. I think that was the most interesting aspect for me, seeing that there's this whole other universe, outside of this dungeon that's pulling the strings and kind of,
Yeah, it's not part of the. It's not part of the corporation either.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's separate entity. It has nothing to do with the Born Corporation. It has nothing to do with, the mind worms or whatever. And that's kind of cool that you have some other entity that's nothing to do with it. Some more lore, some more, universe stuff. It's one of those things where there's like, and then you'll see them on the 6th floor, and you're like, oh, so we're gonna have to do this again. It's not just a one hit. It's like, oh, this is a word. He's like, I'll only do like major quests with you guys, and it's like, oh God. You could have picked something else, and I didn't feel moved by those side characters. And maybe you're not supposed to, maybe it's because they mention, that Donut mentions like, how they don't have very good TV in the universe. Like everybody's like, oh, I like that Earth TV is so good, I want to see more Sex in the City, that kind of thing. So maybe it's supposed to be bad for that reason. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. But I just think that's so interesting, and the weight that it adds, like it's very unique because it's not about the grinding. It's not really about the leveling up and facing bosses, and like it's not your typical LitRPG. Like the fact that Carl and Donut are only getting ahead, or mostly getting ahead, because they're making deals with like people outside of this whole game, this whole apocalypse thing. They're making deals with people, and they're catering to their viewers and whatnot. It's a very unique system, and it's a very unique method of progression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not so much like progression as making like deals like Survivor. Like, who could be the most crafty rather than just building up raw skill and talent. It's like, use your creativeness to complete the dungeon,
Yeah, intelligence and
craftiness.
It's like real life. It's all about, it's mostly about who and making deals and that kind of thing. Matt Dinniman just nails that aspect, and for me, that's what makes this series like stand out above a lot of the others. So
I could agree to that. I think that Matt Dinniman did a great job on this one. I'm excited for the next book, that's for sure. It's going to kick off in the next floor. It's always kind of leaves you wanting more.
Absolutely.
Drops a little something exciting at the end.
Especially those endings. So, you're just like, oh man, I got to get to the next one now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that he always drops little tidbits or hints of something that might happen later. This might be important. Maybe you should think about this, or maybe you should think about that. Like he even said, like with one of their boxes that they got, that Donut got a bunch of bows, but they would have taken up the slot that her crown's in, so she didn't use them. And so that might come up later.
Yeah,
that she might have to use those later, right?
Yeah. and speaking on that note, something that stood out to me that was just casually mentioned just for a little bit was the fact that with Mordecai's alchemy, how he's so proficient in alchemy, and that was like something that his what's her name, his tutor, kind of
oh god, what's her name?
Audette.
Audette, yes.
Yeah, something that Audette made sure that he learned, early on, because it was crucial. So I think that's going to play a role. They're going to learn some alchemy, or alchemy is going to be very important.
He did get a couple levels, but Mordecai's actually, he said he was a mycologist in his past life before the system. So that's one of the reasons why she probably pushed him that way too. And he said it was, on that 6th floor, it's like a big jungle, and that's why she pushed him so hard to learn all that stuff for what's coming there. So probably one of the reasons why Adet wanted him to be a manager for them, to help him get through, that 6th floor. He might become really important on that floor.
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you think of Mordecai as an incubus?
I mean, we all wish, right? Like, they wouldn't kick you out of bed for eating crackers, right? So he's a handsome. He's definitely handsome. So I think it's it might be a look. I mean, the next thing you know, he's going to be a trash goblin in the next floor. But
yeah, it's funny when he gets drunk. And he easily gets drunk. When he's like that line when he's like, "You should try and figure out your face." I was like, "Oh, he's smashed. He's smashed." It's hilarious.
Mordecai is kind of, especially he was definitely not happy after he was chosen to be the manager, but you can definitely tell throughout the book, he's getting over it a little bit. He gets really into certain things and helping him out, but at the same time, he's still a little grumpy.
Yeah, but
getting sloshed.
Yeah, but like they're very lucky to have Mordecai, because from all the other from the other characters we meet, it seems like a lot of their managers are not taking it seriously or purposely trying to sabotage them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's what it seems like. It. I mean, like,
odd.
Just with you've got to kill everybody one, or ones that just aren't helping at all.
Or Katie, who joined their party, who was told to become a doppelganger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I mean, it might turn out well for her later. She seems to slowly be getting a handle on it. But that and that class monster truck driver is pretty awesome. I'm excited to learn more about her. I'm sure in the next book, they'll have her be a bigger part, because I feel like she's got to be a very interesting character.
Yeah, she'll probably want to stay, build a connection with Carl and Donut, maybe join their party or stay with them, not even go back to Hecla.
Yeah, and Hecla. Yeah, that's
another story.
Yeah, it's she's going to be something else.
The fact that we learn at the end that she might want to recruit Donut, and that would mean kill off Carl.
Yeah, like, you're not coming with us, which I mean, that might be where things turn around, because I definitely think they're dropping some hints throughout the thing, because this whole book, Carl's kind of been a dick to Donut. I don't know if you've noticed it at all, but in the beginning, where Donut goes to sneak up on one of those lemurs, and he's like, we don't risk our lives for our pets. Mom is not your child, is your pet. You don't risk your lives for your pets. And she's just kind of like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. That was pretty. Yeah, that was bad. It's like, God, Andy's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, partner. It's like, I get that, it's not great. And then later, he also says it again later. He's like, oh, I don't want to die alone. Donut says, I don't want to die alone. You won't let me die alone, right, Carl? And he's like, don't worry. We'll get to the bottom of this quest, and we'll figure out who, we'll stop the murders or whatever. Not what she wanted to hear, I don't think, So maybe
that's a good observation. Yeah, we don't get a lot of Donut kind of, feeling that sort of way with Carl. Like, like we don't hear a lot of her emotions, her reactions to Carl slipping up or saying these things, but I think that is definitely, now that you mention it, going to bring up some drama, or because for her to have some doubts, or maybe, you know, join Hecla or something.
I thought it might be like a ninth floor sort of thing when they all go like for the big war thing, you know. I thought that might come up then with the crown and all that, but it might come up earlier if like Hecla comes around and, you know, why don't you join me? You know, I won't let you down. And Carl's like, well, Carl's gonna get rid of me anyway.
It's gonna be some more drama there, and we haven't seen what's her name, Beatrice.
Yeah. Either. So I mean, after, you know, the first show that they're on, that round table, they ask like, oh, what will happen if B shows up? Will you leave? Carl's like, oh no, we're gonna be all together. Carl's like in his head like, oh fuck, you know, I don't know how I'm gonna ever tell but the donut that she's probably not around. And at the end she's like, yeah, you know, I know that B's probably dead. So Kat knows now. But that show was that's one of my, I really enjoyed both of the shows that they were on. Like that was some of the best bits of this book. You know, it had the princess character on, they had like the singer and the comedian that was kind of a dick.
Right. Yeah. And but, that's the one where Carl kind of spoke out, and then the guy who got made fun of in the first one, his dad, I think, blew up the wrong trailer.
His brother.
Yeah.
Brother blew up the wrong trailer because they had switched trailers. It's such a, like, you know, it's always just this one little thing here and that's changed here. They were bloody from the last battle. They came in, they're like, oh, we got to get you clean. So use this other person's trailer, swap the trailers between her and the singer from the other corporation that wants to buy out the debt. Like, yeah, it was pretty unexpected. It's pretty wilding.
But what's funny is, like, what's crazy is you learn all that. Like, you think it's coincidence, and then you learn that it might have been the Borant Corporation did all that, planned all that on purpose to kind of mislead or distract the Voltai, the other corporation.
Yeah. That's right. Voltai. Yeah. Just to try to keep them off their backs, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To kind of like set something else up, because his brother blows up the wrong container and the Voltai attack that ship that his brother was on, and so there's going to be some repercussions there, I'm sure, for that.
Things seem to be really, really getting intense outside of this whole dungeon, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, it's like there's a whole nother backstory that's not even really talked about that much, you know. You know that there's these people are mad at these people, or they're looking for their money. They're trying to take over a whole, like, hostile takeover of this whole corporation, which is also a whole civilization of people at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of, there's a whole lot there. But we also find out who Ferdinand is from that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were right. I think you were right about that too. He was like a love interest.
Yeah. Just a tabby downstairs that like got every cat in the block pregnant, you know.
Yeah. Oh man. And that was why Donut jumped out at the beginning there.
Yeah.
Ferdinand.
To go for that cat, love interest cat. I thought they were going to hold off on that one for a while, but it's kind of good to get that, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting, and that was funny. Yeah.
You know, I think one of the funniest aspects of this series is how, like, with Carl and Donut, when they're going through things, you get that whole audio of him saying, all right, so we're going to plan it like, oh shit, do it now.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always like that. It's so funny.
You get a lot of that And then also the when Donut like does quiet messaging, like the DMing each other, and she does it in all caps, so it seems like she's yelling. And having that in the audiobooks, for this, it's like, why are we doing this? What's going on?
Yeah,
it's always yelling. Really pulls through in the audiobook. So it really humanizes the characters with the abruptness, like the change and the, like you don't have in a battle, like if you're gonna meet, you're gonna see the guy around the corner and you're like, we can just plan right now, and then all of a sudden the guy pops around the corner, everything kind of goes out the window. Very much that, like, they don't like give you lots of time to talk. It's not that Dragon Ball Z. You have to yell at each other for 20 minutes before we even start this, plan it all out. It's like, and now I play my trap card. It's like, actually, like, oh, it's happening. Oh, we should do that. Oh, we should do it now. Do it now. Very like realistic, fight if something were to happen.
The realism and the humor, it adds those two elements very well.
Very creative, Matt Dinniman. I also really like some of the side characters whenever they play on the TV. I really like some of his character development. Like not character development, his character design, I should say. Because like even on the TV, you're always hearing of the new people that are in there. The one that stood out to me this time was that big alligator man with the unlimited shotgun ammo.
Yeah.
And and it's always like just thrown in here or there, like the Asian people from the last book that they were stuck in that hallway that Carl helped out. Building up all these characters is kind of cool. It's kind of see it's not just what you see around Carl, but also like everywhere else in the dungeon. You get to see all these cool characters that he's built. We're sure we'll see more of that too.
It's funny. Near the end, I was wondering, like, when is the title of this book going to come into play? Why is it called Carl's Doomsday Scenario? And when he finally like boxes that gem that's going to explode or whatever.
Yeah.
Now it's Carl's Doomsday Scenario in his inventory.
Yeah, but the fact that he's got like a bomb just in his inventory now, that's like it is exploding. Like, when they still had to run away at the end, like I was like worried, like, oh, is it gonna pop out of is it gonna like drop everything from your inventory? That might come in play later. Like, oh, like he get hit by a skill or something that makes him drop things from his inventory.
And then how's that going to work? Because is it going to explode right away? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's while it's exploding, he's put it into his inventory. It's stuck in that state right now.
Oh man!
So he's got a nuclear option. So
that was an intense ending.
That was an intense ending.
And oh my god, the most infuriating part of this series so far is when everybody gets their celestial boxes taken away from them, except that one guy. One guy.
Just the one guy that was kind of a dick.
It right away.
Yeah.
The guy who just called them assholes in the chat.
Yeah.
That was his only contribution. It's like, it's great. That really helps.
I mean, he didn't leave the dungeon, so he also gets some extra couple of days to level up too. So, but I'm sure, that'll come into play later. Now, I mean, they've gotten robbed so many times. Like the death guy. Oh god, the flame killer from the first book. What is it called?
The Rage Elemental, was it?
Yeah, Rage Elemental.
Rage Elemental was one.
Rage Elemental from the first book. He got robbed there too when it went down. He killed it by making it go down to the next floor.
Yeah.
Didn't get anything for that. But there's a lot of cool additives to this, like boxes and the hobby potions. That was kind of interesting, where it's like, they're not going to be useful for you at all. But, one of them is gave him Sesta Punta skill for Carl. And the other one was Scatilophile for Donut. So, which is, they don't really bring it up right now, other than they have a couple of hints when Donut starts talking about patches. I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it.
Yeah, but a lot of hints and stuff that we'll probably see later on.
Yeah, but the Sesta Punta skill and like the Jai, I've seen that before. It's kind of an interesting sport. Did you watch any videos of that after it was brought up?
I did not. No.
No.
What is it like?
It's so weird. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it is. They kind of talk about it being like squash, and it is, but
Right.
they just whip their arms around and really get these balls going, just flying. I don't know how the scoring works. It seems they can bounce it off of 2 or 3 walls. I'm not sure. You know,
Wow. Sounds intense.
it was very fast paced. They're yelling at each other and cursing. It's pretty funny.
I don't know, and they'll probably run into that elite again. Why did they say that they might meet again?
They definitely will. Which one? Which elite though?
The first one, the girl with the tattoos.
Yeah, because that's her story. It's all about her story there. On her back, all the tattoos and stuff were swimming around, and they mentioned that, she's like, oh, this is my whole army out. But there was one little hidden tattoo on her back that, like, they said it was like a serpent or something that dove underneath her skin like the water. So I'm sure that'll come up. And then probably something to do with like the ogre tattoo. The middle head of the ogre tattoo looked like the side boss in the big top tent. Maybe there's something to do with that. Maybe it's a friend that she got tattooed on there. There's probably some more lore there.
It's funny how, whenever Carl wants something, like, they're gonna make sure he doesn't get it, or if he doesn't want something, he'll make sure he gets it. Like the whole pants thing,
Oh yeah.
The whole like, oh, now your boxers are souped up, so you can't wear pants even though you want pants. Man.
Or like the shoes that he got, like as soon as he when he got the shoes from the other show last book, and they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna wear these. My feet have this bonus now. My feet are invincible if I don't wear shoes, so I'm not gonna wear shoes now.
Man, that's so, like, there's something tragic but also hilarious about that at the same time. It's just it's so funny.
He's saying, like, while he's walking through the town, like all the other crawlers are looking at him. And I'm thinking, like, oh yeah, you don't have pants on.
Yeah.
You're up there and you're on the show every day, but you're also not wearing pants.
I like how they took it a step further at the end there, and he was just butt naked, like running through the
right. Yeah, puts takes all of your clothes off.
Yeah. Oh man, that was so good. And then he had to, like, before he went on the show, he wrapped himself in like toilet paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so good.
So kind of glazed over it a little bit, but what did you think about the second quest?
The second quest, remind me again. It was to do with
the dead prostitutes. So
right. Okay.
The ogre. No. Yeah, I think it was an ogre. What's her name?
Orc, or like an orc thing.
Yeah,
like orc lady.
It's very interesting how they step through the whole story. Again, Mordecai not into it. Like, why are you bothering? Which is kind of takes away from the story for me, at least a little bit.
That was so funny. His intro there, where he's like, she's asking them for help, and he's like, no, fuck off.
Yeah,
just so casually. So good.
Oh yeah, and then and I feel like we'll find a lot more about the little bits and pieces from that later on in some of the other either quests or other floors, because they had the Mrs. Quill had all those Beanie Babies, right?
Yeah.
Of all the characters, and I feel like that's like product placement. They'll find out later that they gotta like do commercials and whatever floor, not to sell their Beanie Baby or whatever. We'll find a Carl or a donut Beanie Baby.
Yeah, and what were those like undead creatures, or those women that just had the heads and then just their like
guts,
and intestines?
Is that Krasu?
Krasu, that's right. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, they didn't really like, they said a little bit, and it's like, oh, that's kind of gross. It's like, oh, it didn't sell it to you. They didn't sell it like it was like that disgusting, but it was like pretty brutal. Like all the bodies were like twisted and mangled, and they're like,
yeah,
oh, fuck. Oh,
but
Jesus.
yeah, I'm glad they got rid of those. And then, yeah, it was cool. And then, but the ending, obviously, the ending was the best. You know, that last bit where they got the Doomsday thing and they're running for their lives, and then we get all that information, and then the subsequent like show right after. I think was that the epilogue or the last chapter? I can't remember.
I think it was the epilogue where they kind of talk about it at the very end. You guys like, Mordecai, congratulations, you're free now, kind of thing. It's the fourth floor. He gets to be free. He's still going to help him out, but you know, now he no longer is a part of the dungeon. So which is good for him, you know.
Yeah. Is there anything that we've missed before we talk about the stuff that happened at the end?
For the quest, the last quest, that they one of the NPCs was a crawler, right? The guy that was that was supposed to be the summoner guy that came from the dead. He had an actual name. He had a weird name to him, and you know, he's like, oh, what's going on with that? Oh, he's like a crawler. He used to be a crawler, and he had to finish this quest so he could no longer be in the game anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like maybe he's dead, maybe he's finally released, but I guess that quest doesn't really go through very often, or people don't always get it. And I guess an orc had it once and just killed him right away, so it wasn't able to complete saying what he was supposed to say, and he was just kind of trapped. So he kind of went a little crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like they're like, do not take a, you know, I get it, you want to live, but don't take a fucking deal. Don't make a deal at all. You don't want to do it. It's not worth it. You can be stuck like that guy as an NPC, or you know, I stuck centuries with being a manager or whatever. So stuck in one of those guilds, you don't want to do that. I felt a little bit less. He did a little bit less contemplating his life in this one. You know, sometimes he'll be like, "You can't break me," but it's less of his mantra on that. You know, he doesn't really bring it up too much. You know, I'm definitely excited to see what happens next. You know,
absolutely.
They kind of hinted at like killing gods and some of his items that he got. So, you know,
and that ending with the last show where they see the top 10 list, right, of characters.
Oh my, yeah,
man, that was intense. So we got Lucia Mar, Hecla. You knew Lucia Mar would be at the top.
Oh,
but it's cool to see Carl and Donut on that list. And then lastly, Mrs. McGibbons is on there.
Yeah, Mrs. McGibbons. And you're like 100 years old.
Yeah.
100 years old, you know?
So I'm interested to see her physicality now, because so she chose Frost Maiden as a race, I believe. And then her class is a Blizzard Mancer. So you know,
she went from level 1. They got these pacifist boxes from, you know, not killing anybody from till level 3, and so they're all level 1, and good to get to the top 10, you know, in just one level. You know, that's pretty crazy. You know, as well as you know, there's still like I think it's still over 500,000 people still left in the dungeon, like over 500,000. So that's a lot of people from going from level 1 to somehow getting on the top 10 board. You know, that's, you know, big step in just one level. So that might come later. You know, hopefully she still thinks he's handsome. You know,
Mrs. McGibbons. I think she'll be an ally. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But we haven't seen Agatha. We didn't see Agatha in this one, right?
Yeah. Nope. Not since. I don't even think we saw her in the very beginning either.
No, not at all.
She went through the same portal, but the same staircase, but like she went in before, so she gets released late, like six hours late or something.
Yeah, so maybe Mrs. McGibbons and Agatha will go at it. we'll see.
Oh yeah,
we'll see what happens with Agatha. But yeah, that was cool to see Miss McGibbons on the top 10 list. And another one of the most interesting things now is this whole idea of bounties. They all have bounties, right? On the top 10 list.
Top 10 is like extra bounty. Like if you kill them, you get more, and you're like,
so
they kind of drop that bomb on you at the end. Like, hey, you don't really actually want to be on here.
Yeah. So they have bounties on them now. You know, there's going to be some crawlers hunting crawlers now. We'll see more of that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting. That was an element that I wanted to see more of. So crawlers hunting crawlers.
I mean,
Maybe we'll see Frank and Maggie again. You know.
yeah, maybe that's why they're just holding off to wait for the bounties to come up, and then really make it worthwhile for themselves. So do you think the bounties are for crawler versus crawler, or is it for the crazy people that come in for the wars? Like they say that after level 4, or maybe even level 6, that some rich people go in to the dungeon to go to hunt crawlers. Maybe the bounties are for that.
How would that work out for them though? Like they would get points, right? Because for
points, or is it
XP? I don't know.
Is it XP or is it? I didn't remember.
Might be. I don't know. Might be.
I thought XP. It was. I thought I just said the higher bounty was. Is it XP? Yeah, I'm wrong. I thought it might be for the for other people that come in to the dungeon, crazy rich people.
See, I don't know.
It might be either or. I'm not sure.
Maybe
we'll find out.
Yeah, a game amongst themselves. Who knows? But we'll be back for another chat on book 3. So look forward to that.
Very excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Absolutely. Yeah, so let's just wrap things up here. Thank you everybody for tuning into this. We'll definitely be back sometime soon, maybe end of December, New Year, sometime around there with book 3 and our chat there. So Nick, thanks so much for joining me on this, man. Appreciate it. It's been a fun ride.
Definitely. Exciting
to see where it goes.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.